Good afternoon. Yeah, you are welcome to General Marcus Avenue. Okay, so here today we are going to look at a brief history about the people of Akwamu. Okay, about the people of Akwamu. Akwamu has a lot of things to tell the world, but little is known about them because initially we couldn't get writers to write about them. And those who were able to document something about Akwamu, but they couldn't publish all. For that matter, when you look at the history of Akwamu, to a certain point, you might think that after a certain period, Akwamu never existed. But that is not true. Akwamu has been in existence and still is existing. Okay? And so today we are going to talk about a walkthrough of Akwamu history. We are going to look at where they came from, as record has documented, or as we have documented. We look at where they were before they came to Gold Coast, now called Ghana, and then certain places that they can be found. Are you okay? So, if we are ready, we are going to look at the origin of the people of Akwamu. Now, history has record that the Akwamus migrated from Abyssinia Islands. Okay, now we need to get the world map and look at some of these geographical areas. One day I will take you through to look at some of these areas. So from there, after the collapse of the old Ghana Empire, okay, now history tells that when we look at the foundation of the old Ghana Empire, that the people of Akwamu are the initial people that formed the old Ghana Empire together with other Akans and non-Akans. We all migrated from a place before we find ourselves here. Whereas the history also says that when you look at history-wise in the document, the Guans were the first people to settle here. Okay, before the other Akans and other people also migrated to this current place we call Ghana. Now, after the collapse of the old Ghana Empire, whose capital was Kumbisali, after they collapsed, the ancestors of Akwamus moved from that place to what we call Southern Sudan. In the Southern Sudan, they stayed there for a certain period. But when there was a rising of this Islamic religion, they wouldn't give in for that new faith or that new religion. So that friction, they try to avoid engaging war with the Muslims. So they have to move. So history said the ancestors moved from the Southern Sudan to the Corn Mountains, now the current Côte d'Ivoire. Okay? So when they came to the Corn Mountains, they stayed there. History also tells that the Akwamus are traders. They are traders. They are not people who engage themselves into farming and those kind of things. They were purely traders. So if they stay here and they think trade-wise they are not okay, sometimes they move to a different place that they can continue their trading. So from Corn Mountains, they moved to Wam, which is in the Bono area. Okay? And at that place, the Bono state, as record has it, is the first Akan state that was established by the people of Akans. Okay, that was where Akans settled, and they formed that state, of which their capital was Bono Manson. Now, after the collapse of Bono Manson, these groups of Akans in the groups migrated to various places. Now our focus is going to be on the people of Akwamu, okay, so that we can find our way through. So after the collapse of the Bono Kingdom, history tells that the ancestors of Akwamus moved from the Bono area to what? Hemang. They moved to Hemang. So when they got to Hemang, they were able to form their own state, a state of kings. So there they became known as Chifo. Okay, they were known as what? Chifo. They stayed there and also formed the Chifo state. But as time goes on, there were some chieftaincy disputes, which caused a section of the Chifo, now called the Akwamus, to migrate from Hemang to other areas. So some of the Akwamu kings moved from Hemang to Abakrampa, and then Otumfo Asare, of which during his time, when they were choosing a successor, he think he's a rightful person, but the kingmakers, I don't know whether they connive or something like that, so he couldn't get it. And so to avoid any internal conflict or civil war, he has to move from Hemang to where we call Asamankese now, currently. So when Otumfo Asare came and settled there, he formed his state called Asare Nemankese. Asare Mankese, now known as Asamankese. Are you okay? So when he came to Asamankese, he formed the Asamankese state, and that was the point there that the name Akwamu became known. So he instituted the state of Akwamu. Now, before we continue, I told you that some of the Akwamu kings moved to Abakrampa. There was another Akwamu king who also moved. You know, when they settle here, others can also move. Okay, let me move to this forest area and establish my own state. So one of the Akwamu king called Akotia, Otumfo Akotia, he also founded the Akwatia state, or the town we call Akwatia. He founded it. Okay. Now I want to talk about the old Akwamu towns. Here, the people here are new Akwamus. We will come to that. Now I want to talk about the old Akwamu, Asamankese area, the place we call Equiapem, in Sanwem, Aduajiri, Maf, and then what do you call it? Akwatia, Apija, all those places are the lands of Akwamu, the old Akwamus. History tells that the Akwamus were sharing boundaries with the Adansi people, okay, before the Achims came in, and then they were offered a land. The Buakwa people were given a land to settle on. The Akwamu people gave them land. Into what is the word Chebi? What is Chebi? It's an assignment. Go and find out. Ask anybody from Achim and let them tell you what is the meaning of Chebi. Are you okay? When they came, they offered them, the Akwamus offered them a land to stay. Now we continue. Okay? Yes. So at Asamankese, where now we have the Akwamu kingdom was established. After the death of Otumfo Asare, other Akwamu kings came as successors. Now we are going to talk about one of the Akwamu kings who also contributed greatly to our chieftaincy structure. That is Otumfo Ansasa Sereku the first. Now after Asare's death, Ansasa Sereku would establish a new capital at Nyanwase. Okay, so some of the family members moved from Asamang area, Asamankese area, and settled at Nyanwase. A few of them. Mostly when they go, they don't leave the whole family. They don't move the whole family to that place. The majority will stay, and a few will go to settle at a new place and form a new town or something like that. So Ansasa Sereku, when he came, he started Akwamu military expansion. The expansion of Akwamu empire started from Ansasa Sereku the first. Now when he became the Akwamu king, he said, no, when we are going for war, we need a strategic plan. So he came and instituted a certain traditional military defense. He created the wings, the left wing, the right wing, the rear guard, and then the Adonting, the Benkum, Chidom, and then those kind of structure. Okay, he came and then formed all those things so that when we are going for war, before you will get Akwamu king, you get access to Akwamu king. Then you need to first conquer the Adonting. If you're able to defeat Adonting, the left wings are there, the right wings are there, Chidom too is there, and then the immediate people that surround the king is the Jasi group. So you need to combat with all these people before you can get access to Akwamu. So it is never easy to get access to Akwamu, and no history has recorded that any of the Akwamu enemies had a chance to behead Akwamu. But he has so many hairs inside his stool. He killed so many great people. Are you okay? And at Nyanwase, they stayed there, and then they were able to incorporate our brothers, the Guans, the Chirpon, and then the, what do you call it, the Latte people. Okay, the Guans are the original settlers of that area. When you go to Akwamu, the original settlers are the Guans. Are you okay? Yes, sir. They own the land before the Akwamu people came, and they incorporated them. They became part of the Akwamu kingdom. Now they lived there for so many years. After the death of some of the Akwamu king, it got to a time that they needed a successor, somebody to become Akwamu king. But there was this Akwamu prince called Prince Amo. They were in charge of taking care of the Gan people, because Ancestor Sereku II was able to subdue the Gans, the Gandangbis, and then they also became part of the Akwamu kingdom. So they were in control. So Amo stayed in Accra for so many years. So when the period came for them to choose the right person to become Akwamu king, he thought, say, he's the right person to be installed as what? Akwamu Hine. But the kingmakers connived and they deprived Amo. Do you get it? Saying that he has stayed in the Ga area for long and he doesn't know much into Akwamu culture. But was it his fault? He was there to take care. Okay. So he became embittered. He became so embittered. In fact, Amo's father or the grandfather, either the father or the grandfather, was Otu, Governor Otu. And that is why in Ghana, there's a Ghana area called Otubrum. Have you ever heard Otubrum? No, sir. Otubrum people are purely Akwamus. Okay. In fact, when you go to the Ghana state, there are so many areas that Akwamus are. So somebody will ask, why do we have a Ghana land and we have a kind name like Amasaman, Popuase, those kind of things? What they are saying? The Osu stool, history even tells that the Akwamu created the Osu stool for the Gans. You get it? Because the Gans, we will come back to where I ended, but I need to add all this thing. The Gans were not into kinship. The Gans, originally, they were into fetish. But when they became part of the Akwamu kingdom, they introduced the kinship to them. They were not into this kind of kinship, a fetish related thing. And when Amon was deprived, he became embittered. And then I said his uncle, who was called Ansakpao, was rather installed as Akwamu king. And he wasn't that strong, wasn't that powerful, but he was very terrible, was so wicked. History also tells that he had these two princes that were so wicked, Oteng Ejare and Oteng Abransamadu. These princes were able to suppress our brothers, especially the Guans, who are also Akwamus. They suppress them. When they buy fresh gun, they test this gun in between the two breasts of a virgin girl. So you come and stand there as a virgin, they'll point the gun, shoot, If they're able to shoot at the middle, it means that the gun is okay. But if they misses, another virgin will come, and then they will have to change the gun and try a new one. Don't you see that kind of wickedness? This really, or they know. No, you see, they have a way of testing girls who are virgins or not. Unlike today. Today it is difficult to determine whether this person is a virgin or not. I know there are a number of girls who are virgins, but sometimes we find it difficult to notice that. Okay, all right. But those times are common. If you are a virgin, you know. They easily know. Aside that, you see, those times too, they believe in this magical means and other things. They were not just fighting or doing things normal. Do you get it? That's what we should also understand. And see, somebody can look at you, if you are not a virgin, they will know. You see, but this was the atrocities, things that they were doing, of which the Akwamu people were not happy with it. So they need to rise against that section of Akwamus that were into that. And see, history said in 1720 that way, about 1720 that way, there was a conflict, a civil war. They tried the first war, they couldn't overpower those Akwamus who are here. There was another attempt, they couldn't. So what they have to do is, now the Akwamus who are not in support have to sort for other companies to come and help so that they can push these people away. So the Ga people came because Amo is now leading them because he's a meeting. So Amo led the Gans. Then the Achims were also sorted to come and support. And then other groups, now the people who call the Kwiapims, who are Akwamus, now fighting against themselves, also came together, and the white also powered them, helped them, and they were able to drive these new Akwamu people who are in Esojaman to this area. In 1730, they moved from that place to this area. When they came, later, the Asante people also came, and then came to partner with the Esoja Akwamu people, those who were causing that, and they were pushed here. The Asante people came in 1740. They came and sought support from the Akwamu Esoja group, and they combat against their own people again, together with what? The Gans and then the Achims. And then the Esoja Akwamu people, together with the Ashantis, defeated the Ekwiapims, the people now we call Ekwiapims, and then the Achims. So they also ruled there for some time before they gained their freedom. In the year, okay, as for the year, I will hold on to the year because we don't tell the years. Okay, when people get to know the years, they are able to correct certain things in their document. So if you want to know anything about the year, you come to Akwamu Museum, and certain facts will be shown to you, because we don't tell history raw. What's it? Utumra no aden watch receive nti yen kan yen abakwasema ye kirao evidence, physical evidence. What do you say? Nti in 1730 that way the Akwamu Esoja faction came here and they settled here. And when they came, they met other people who were already settlers here. So they were able to bring them together, and they became one, and they started expansion again. So after 1730, Akwamu continued to exist, to fight until a white man came and then took over. When they came here and uniting other small states together, incorporating the other states, they were able to come together and started the Creepy Wars. So they fought the first Creepy, second, and then the third. So when we talk about the Enum Boso, they all became part of the Akwamu Kingdom, the new Akwamu Kingdom. Peki became part of the new Akwamu Kingdom. Who became part? In fact, When they were starting the Kripi, well, because they were few that came here, the Asante people also came, because Akwamu and Asante, they have that bond, because they have helped them to conquer the people of Akwamu and then Achims. So when they were fighting the Kripi, they also came and support. And Akwamu and Asante together fought to Dahomey. Have you ever heard Dahomey? Oh, okay. You want to go to Benin area. That was where they were able to conquer up to. Before something happened, and then the Peki people broke out from the Akwamu kingdom, joined force with the Hu, and then they came together. The white, the Dutch were able to also support with heavy ammunition. And then Masa Akwamu Asante Fong easy. Do you get it? And during that war, the Eves were able to win their freedom, and certain demarcations were also given. And that is just a brief of the people of Akwamu. There are a lot to tell. I told you that one of the Akwamu king had to send his nephew to the Christianborg castle by name Asemani to go there as a cook, just to learn the tactics and able to capture the Christianborg castle. So Asemani went there as a cook, and then he was able to win the heart of the whites. Now he told the uncle that, okay, this is the time to strike, because they wanted to stop the slave trade. Akwamu wanted to stop the slave trade, but before stopping it, they need to get access to what? The castle, because when the slaves are being purchased, they send them there, and then they are able to board them with another ship and take them outside. So he was able to gain the heart of this white, and they entrusted everything into his hands. So he informed the uncle, the Akwamu then, and then he sent some troops of men going with gold, like they are going to trade, with exchange of what? Guns, because they needed the powerful guns to fight their enemy. So when Asemani and the people entered the castle, because of Asemani, they were able to get access to the castle easily. And then Asemani told the white the intention of the Akwamus there to trade, and then in exchange of guns. They supplied them with a gun, with exchange of the gold, but he convinced them that their people need to be trained how to use these powerful guns against their enemy. So they were able to give them bullets, loaded it, taught them how to handle such guns, and then they were able to shoot. Then they refilled, and then he has to change the language. The language has to be changed to Akwamu Twi. Now the language we refer to as Ekwiapim Twi, it's not Ekwiapim Twi, it's Akwamu Twi, because the Ekwiapim, I told you the initial settlers were Guans, and they speak the Guan language. But when Akwamu became a king and took over that place, and he became part of Akwamu, he didn't understand the language, the Guan language. So if you want to communicate with him, you need to speak the Twi, the Akwamu Twi. And so it became a dominant language there. But unfortunately, when the whites came in 1828 and they were changing the English Bible to Twi, because the Akwamu Twi was common, and by that time this Akwamu soldier factor had been moved to this place, and they were renaming the place, the old Akwamu, which is now the Ekwiapim, as Ekwiapim. They were able to attribute the Akwamu Twi to what? Ekwiapim, because by that time the place has been changed to what? Ekwiapim. And that's why we have the Ekwiapim Twi, which is something wrong. Okay? It's Akwamu Twi. And so Akrofi Crystal in one of his books attributed that the root of the language is what? Akwamu. Are you okay? And when Asemani was able to win the castle, he stayed there and ruled as the first black governor. So when you go to the Christianborg Castle, now Osu Castle, you'll find his photo there as the first black governor to rule as a leader in this country called Ghana. So there are a lot we need to tell. We need to talk about the history, why the Doma people who are Akwamu they found themselves there, why the Drobo people are there, why the Suma, why Obo, those kind of things. There are a lot of history to talk about. Why do we have some of the Akwamus at Ashanti region? I told you that once upon a time, the place we called Kumasi was known as Kwamang, and they were under the control of the Dentra people. Okay, so they served. Ashanti was just a slave to the Dentras, and by then the place was called Kwamang. So because of that, the kings have to serve the Dentra king, Buamponsem, all the time. But the then king couldn't go there and serve, so he have to send his nephew, what is Osei, to go and serve there in his place. History tells that when Osei Tutu, this young boy, went to the Dentra to serve, he was able to find, I don't know whether he had opportunity or the lady was so in love with him. The king's sister fell in love with Osei, and Osei also did the thing. Osei impregnated Buampons's sister. So at a gathering, they plotted to kill him, but his friend came and alarmed him, informed him that this is what the people intend to do. The Dentra people want to behead you. So he has to run to his father. He came to Akwamu, and Akwamu Hini took him, protected him, trained him when we come to Akwamu chieftaincy. All the things, the festivals celebrated by the Ashantis are adapted from Akwamu. Okay, and some parts that were also learned from the Dentra people. Okay, should we end here? We should continue. Okay, so I think the BC people are happy because they are done. Well, if you don't take it, somebody is going to hurt himself or herself. Are you okay? All right. So we continue. So when he was informed, he quickly ran to Akwamu, and the Akwamu protected him. It was there that Osei Tutu met Okomfanoche in the prisons of Akwamu. Previously, I told you that Okomfanoche gave a certain prophecy about Akwamu. Other thought also say that people conspire against him, against Akwamu, and for that matter, Akwamu has to imprison him. But whether there was a conspiracy or whether the prophecy, at the end of the day, he was in prison. So it was there that Osei Tutu met Okomfanoche in Akwamu Hine's prisons, and he was able to foretell his future, what will happen, that so and so will happen, and he has to go back and take the Kwamang stool. The prophecy came where the Doma people, who are Akwamu Hine's twin brother, by then they have left. And what happened before they left, that is another history for its own. And then we'll talk about it later. So the Doma people moved to the place we call the Ashanti area, okay, to stay there. When Osei Tutu's uncle, Obriyabua, engaged in a war with the Doma people, he was killed. The Doma people killed Obriyabua. For that matter, there is a need for Osei Tutu to come and take over his uncle's was stew, because the Akans inherit from what? The mother line. And if it's the mother line, it's the uncle. What do you say? So you have to go back and take his uncle's stew. And then when he took over, they were able to revenge. They fought the Doma people, and they were pushed to their current place. Okay. Now after the war, they also mobilized themselves. Okomfanoche advised that the individual states should come together. First, individual state, they should come together and form a bigger state. So they all came together and formed what we call Asante. Asante, which is what Esa Inti, because of war. So they came together and they were able to fight the Dentra and defeated the Dentra. During that war, the Dentra then called Intim Jakari. his head was beheaded. So now Asante gained its freedom with the help of the Akwamu military defense and then Okofanoche. Now the Asante brothers have also gained their freedom. And whatever Osei was trained in Akwamu, that is what the Ashantis are demonstrating. But what has made it so colorful is that they have been able to spice things. Okay, we're able to add up we have something called cultural borrowing. So you borrow from here, and then you spice it to become your own, and that is it. And next time when we meet, unless you have any other question, then we can continue. Next time when we meet, we'll continue. Yes. Okay. The statue, yeah. Okay, so the statue at the Akwamu Atimbogo roundabout is what we are talking about, where the bridge is. Okay. Now that statue is the person I was talking about, Asemeni, the one who took over the castle. So you could see that he has a gun in his hand and then a key. So he is that person. That is Asemeni statue at the roundabout. Okay, all right. Excursion. It's ideal. You're looking at your syllabus or your curriculum. We should go for excursion. We should go to Akwamu Museum so that you look at what I'm telling you. You see it yourself. In fact, when you go there, the Akwamu has the oldest cloth. We call it mahogany. The other time I talk about that mahogany. There are so many things that are there that we need to see. It's a historical artifact that we need to see ourselves. So one day, I don't know how we'll be permitted to go, but the syllabus described that we should go to such places. I should even take you to shrines. And so we need to ask them questions. But they have designed it nicely. But how to go there you need to pass through the right channel or the process.
So if in case of war,
yes, when it comes to the history of Akwamu are warlike, but there's a particular day Akwamus don't fight, they don't engage in war. And what will happen, that is what you have said. And even when they don't fight, their magical then protect them to the next day. Okay. Can you speak? Our school is within Eastern region. Yes, they are mistakenly to state that. Wow, I some friction. Don't mind them. Our school is within Eastern region. Now, when we talk about Eastern region towns, the last Eastern region towns here, the last town is Boso. Have you ever heard Boso before? Good. So from Akwamu, from here, you move to the Guans, who are the Boso Enum people. After their boundaries, then you enter into Volta region. You get it? So that is how it is. But a lot of people have captured it. When you go to Facebook like this, they have captured the location like Volta region. No. Here, when we say Volta, that is, the word Volta is a Portuguese word, which is a place where the water burn or care. You get it? It's because of the river. That's why we have Oti. Oti too is a river. Is that not a River Oti? So the place is named after River Oti. Here the place is also named Volta. But here we have a region. So when we talk about Volta region, there's a boundary demarcation. That is what people are refusing to understand. The days you can cross the river any day, from Monday to the next Monday, you can cross it.